Hello again, Card Warriors. Today we're going to be covering some of my polls for Card Blast 3, a few updates and announcements, and kind of going over a few of the cards and what I think of them. So let's go ahead and get started with a big announcement. So I was doing some testing earlier today based off of what other people had said, and apparently you cannot use reunification on specifically Gohan. So that's a big change to how the game's going to be played. It's going to eliminate the Vegito deck in its entirety. Now, when I say the Vegito deck, I'm talking about that entire culmination of cards. So specifically, the cheap draws for event cards, the Gohans, the reunifications, and Vegito all together in the same deck. Now, you can still use any of those cards individually in other decks, and they have a good chance of still working out in those decks, because I think each of those were fairly strong standalone cards, although I do think the reunification hit is going to take Gohan out of competitive play. But that is major news, and Bandai Namco didn't just make that apply to any old cost-reducing card, so Frieza, I tested, and I can still use reunification on the Frieza that has cost reduction for every Frieza in the graveyard, so that's a really good change, and it's going to be one that's going to make the game a lot more fun to play for a lot of people. So let's go ahead and go straight to the card pack openings. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at the cards yet, I'm planning on going through and doing a card review after I do my polls. But I already went and looked through the cards, so I know a little bit about what I'm looking for out of Card Pack 3. So let's go ahead and get my Guaranteed Legendary. Okay, so the very first thing I got was Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb is consume all of your yellow symbols, deal 5,000 damage to the opponent's leader for each symbol consumed. That's really strong, but we'll have to see. Like, there's a lot of direct damage in this set, and we're going to have to see how it's going to play out. So let's see, I got a few rares and some commons. So the new Ginyu Force stuff is pretty hilarious. One of the, so the first Ginyu summons the second one, the second summons the third summons the fourth, and the fourth summons Captain Ginyu. And that's how that whole thing is playing out. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the review of all of the cards, but when I get super rares or legendaries, I will bring that to your attention. So let's go ahead and open up my premium packs. I think I'll save one premium pack since I have 31. So, just as an initial opinion, I really think that the Buu cards and the energy generating cards are really strong, but the direct damage is just absolutely ridiculous. So, we'll have to wait and see how that's going to play out. Alright, 10 premium packs. First pack is not very premium. I want to point out this Yamcha card is hilarious. What it does is it kills a regular card on your opponent's side of the field and then gives them an exhausted Yamcha who has 1000 attack and 1000 HP, and it's unable to attack. So you just leave it on their board and it just like sits there and just doesn't do anything. That's just amazing. Let me see if there's anything in particular that comes to mind. None of these are all that exciting. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next pack. There we go. So this is a Goten and Gotenks and Trunks specific card. This brings a Trunks out of your deck with a cost of 2 or less. It doesn't get its on-appearance effect, so this isn't going to be used with the green 2-cost Trunks to cheese it. You also draw a Goten card from your deck with a cost of 2 or less, which is going to be used to get out the 0-cost card from the last set. And then you're going to try and do the fusion that way. I don't know if I would call this card legendary worthy, but it's not awful. And who knows, I may be wrong about that. Let me see. Anything else that comes to mind? So this is actually pretty interesting. This is a 1-cost Golden Fighter if you have a Goten in your hand, which is honestly just an amazing cost discount, and I like them going this direction with how they do their card stuff. I actually did pull the Trunks version of this, which is if you have a Trunks in your hand, it deals 4,000 to everything for 2. So all in all, pretty good. We'll look at Roshi. So this card, because there's not that many Krillin and Master Roshi cards, this card isn't broken. But giving +10, +10 in stats for 3 is ridiculous, especially since this can go directly to burn if you have both cards out on your field and they just left them alone. So I do think there's potential for maybe even a human face deck, like a really early rush deck with cards like Krillin. Krillin got a 1-cost Piercing Strike that's 3K 3K last set, and it becomes 4K 4K if they have any unit with guard on the field when it's played. So there's some serious potential there. So let's go ahead and move on to the next pack. Okay, we got a super rare. This causes up to 2 Goku and Piccolo cards with a cost of 3 or less to appear from your SP deck. So this can be used to get the 3-cost Piccolo legendary that gives +5/+5 to a unit. I don't know which Goku would be the best to pair this with, but there's a few options. But it's not going to work with Dragon Strike, the forever nerfed. Not a majorly interesting pack. Let's see what we get this time. Okay, so this is the first card that's really going to just massively increase the... what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to help out new players a lot, because this card is a 3-cost that both restores bank and gives 1,000 to your attack for each card, for each energy in your bank. So it's multifaceted in that it will either restore your bank or have a massive attack boost. And because it's 3 cost, you can use it with the basic card that's 4 cost, bring out a 3 cost or less, and then give it swift attack so that I can attack immediately. And it's either going to have a massive amount of attack or it's going to be used to restore your bank, and then you can just immediately kill it off and get that yellow symbol. So this is like the cheapest yellow symbol in the game, barring 2-cost Goku, who is going to be petrified a lot, or stolen with Kiss, whereas this card's not going to have the opportunity for that to happen because you can just bring it out, give it swift attack, and just have it donk itself into something else and die, and typically take something else out with it. So I really, really think this card is super good. And then we also got this card. I love this card. So this is purple. Increase your energy limit by 2. Draw a card. So if you all you have to do is own a purple. You don't have to consume it like the original one. I think this one, even though it costs 3 more, because it increases the energy limit by an extra 1, is going to be very, very useful in speeding up decks that really want to go faster and want to use their energy instead of their bank. So this has got a lot of potential, and it pays for itself after 2 turns. So it's honestly looking pretty solid in my opinion. Alright, let me see if there's anything else. So Chi-Chi got a new card that just has Rush. Rush is a new keyword that says when it kills something, it gets to attack again. So if your opponent plays a board of 1/1s, not sure why they would do that, but if they did, then this could kill 4 of them, which is kind of cool. Randomly sends 2 Saiyan cards in your deck to the graveyard. So Saiyans are going to be using a new mechanic called Surge to have a bunch of discounts for when that Surge is activated based off of how many Saiyan cards there are. So Match of the Century actually I think has some potential in rush decks, because this is basically a weaker cheer, but then it draws you a card, and it's a common. So being able to draw a card while buffing one of your early units is going to be nice as far as tempo is concerned, and making sure that you never run out of cards. So I do think that there are a lot of facets that can make rush decks a lot more powerful with this new set, in addition to burn decks. So I think that this card has some potential, although I don't think it's all that amazing, but it's still decent. Oh, I got the vanilla. Why are they still making vanillas? I mean, this is a big boy, but it's still just a vanilla. So for those who play Gug, we never really got any bigger Gokus. This is the biggest normal Goku that we have. It's just Guard Rush, and it's got pretty low attack, so not amazing. Even if you summon it with Gug, it's going to be fairly tanky, I suppose, and it can run over some weaker stuff, but it's not particularly fantastic. I think this one is... yeah, it's just remove an always effect. So they have more event cards that have activation from the deck. This one consumes a blue, and then you can just cast it straight from your deck for no energy. But it's just one of the ones that removes effects. Now, there are negative effects finally, that you can apply to your opponent, but it's just not super relevant. We also got a 0-cost green. That's just a 1/1. So this is going to be great for any deck that needs to use greens early. The unfortunate thing about this is that this is a Captain Ginyu card and not a Saiyan or a Goku. So it's not going to get any of the bonus effects that you would want to have off of a Goku. But it does count as a Captain Ginyu card, which may actually be bad because you can't use this card in any Ginyu deck. Well, yeah, you don't want Jace to draw this card. That's what I'm saying. And then I think this card just heals you. Yeah, recovers 12,000 for your leader. That's not bad. Since there's so much direct damage, I could see this having some potential. Alright, next pack. 2 super rares. So this Bulma gives you an energy to your bank if you own a purple, and it's 0. So, all in all, I would say this is pretty lackluster. We already have a super rare Buu that gives you an energy that doesn't require a purple owned. And because zeros are cards that you typically want to play fast and early, I don't see this as having that much potential. And then this super rare Gotenks is actually pretty solid. If you have a green, it gives itself negate damage until end of turn, and then it rams itself into another unit. Both take damage, but since this has negate damage, if you have a green, he doesn't actually take the damage. So this can just send itself into something for 7k, and if you have this card summoned off of, say, the Master Roshi SP summoning card or Battle for the Earth, then it can attack something else and it still has negate damage, so it can deal 14k damage and still stick around, which is not too bad. Not too tabby. It's not a cat. Now, this card. Whoo boy. So we haven't gotten too many instant appearance SP cards in this set. I don't think we actually got any that I can remember. Maybe a couple. None that stuck out. But this card returns all SP characters in your graveyard to your SP deck. This card is absolutely nuts in a Father-Son Gohan deck, because the big thing with Father-Son Gohan is you never want to play multiples of them, because you don't want to have to deal with a huge board clear, and you just want to keep up constant pressure with it. This kind of eliminates the need for that, because this is going to be able to get you 2 Father-Sons, and then if they both die, play this, you can get out 2 more Father-Sons, and all it's costing you are symbols, which your deck has ready access to, instead of costing you SP summoning cards. I think that this could be used in a deck that just wants to have a bunch of SP summoning cards in it, but I don't know necessarily why you would want to go that route. The big incentive to not run character cards in your main deck was Gohan Reunification, and that seems to be largely gone. So I think that, Warriors of the Otherworld has some huge potential. Alrighty, so let's go on to the next. Alright, so we got Kid Buu, Raw Battle Instincts. Purple, it adds 4 energy to your bank if your bank is 4 or higher. And then it also adds 5,000 to its own attack when you unlock your bank with 7 or more energy in it, and then immediately restores your bank. So this kind of functions like the Videl card, where when you unlock the bank, you can get a bonus effect, and it can even be used in the same type of deck since they're both purple. That one will restore your health. This one will be a 12k attacker. That's only 2. Can be brought out off of some very, very cheap new SP summoning cards. We now have a 1-cost bring out a 1 and a 2-cost bring out a 2, give it rush. So those are both going to be pretty solid. Let's go ahead and look at this Majin Buu too. So this one is a normal card, and if you have 4 or higher, it adds 4 to your energy bank, which is a very consistent theme that Buu is doing. I am getting a spam call, which I'm going to say no to. Alright. So this card also gives itself a swift attack when your energy limit is at 10, and gives itself 10,000 attack. So this is a 25,014. Essentially completely superior version of Perfect Cell, as long as you play it when you have 10 energy in your energy bank, and you have a bunch of cards that can ramp up your energy bank. Leave me alone, dude. Alright, so this card has some potential. And let's move on to the next pack. Okay, now for my favorite card in the whole set. Yamcha causes one character to randomly appear from your opponent's hand. So this obviously is only going to apply to regular characters, but I freaking love this because, you know, if your opponent was playing, say, you know, Gohan Reunification, you could force it to come out and its on appearance effects wouldn't activate. So then it would be a 4-4, and then you could just ram this into it, play another one, and then all of a sudden they're out of Vegitos, and I was so looking forward to doing that, but now that that's gone, this is only going to be usable against a few particular other strategies, but anyone who wants to use the on-call effects of their cards is going to be pretty disappointed with this card. Not only that, it is beefy. It is a 15k defense guard, and can be brought out with Battle from the Earth. That's really, really good. It's also able to completely, if it traded with a Vegito, it would even out. So this card has a lot of potential. I really, really like it. This is my favorite card of the set. Let's see what else we get. Oh, hey! So, I already went over that one. That one's the Goku and Piccolo one. Saiyan family. Discard a Saiyan card in your hand, then cause one of the Saiyans in your SP deck to appear. That's not very specific, but I'm guessing you can pick it. And if you do pick it, then you could use this to, say, discard any Saiyan card in your hand and then bring out one of the Vegitos or a bigger Gohan or Vegeta or Goku. So there's some potential here. I don't know how strong it's going to be since we have so many 6-cost cards that can bring out those bigger cards. And actually Gohan didn't get an SP Summoner. It got a normal character from your hand summoner, which is even more strange. But, you know, like the Vegeta summoning card is already pretty good, and I don't know why you'd want to use this to bring out Goku when I don't think Goku has that many good higher-ended ones. But we also did get a perfect cell over here. So a lot of people are wondering, is this card going to be replacing the old perfect cell? And the answer is, no. So what this card does is it does the exact same thing as the other perfect cell. Only instead of KOing random cards on your opponent's side of the field for each 17 and 18 that was destroyed, it deals 2,000 damage to your opponent's leader. I don't think that I can emphasize enough how bad that is in comparison. Like, KO a random card versus deal 2,000 damage. It's night and day in difference. The only thing that this card does is it incentivizes you to use this type of card when your opponent's board is cleared. If you're playing an Android Rush deck, which I would say has some viability now, then I think that this card could be used in that type of deck as a finisher because of the direct damage, but I don't think the direct damage is strong enough, and the amount of investment you'd have to play to try and make that work is going to really hurt you. And in the grand scheme of things, what I really fear from a card like this is if your opponent is running heal. Because I think that cards like Porunga are going to be coming back. I think people might actually be playing the heal for 12,000 card. And I think that other such things might become meta-relevant. So if you're just killing off all of your cards just to do a little bit of damage, and if that doesn't kill your opponent, you're screwed. So this has to be played in a deck that is face-oriented, that is entirely focused on getting to that win condition of beating the crap out of your opponent as quickly as possible. Otherwise, this card isn't going to fit. So this is not a grind control card. This does not fit the original androids at all. But like I said, I think there is some potential there, but the deck is going to be entirely different if you're going to be running this card. Let's move on to the next. Alright, so we only got 2 legendaries that time, I think. I think we can do a little bit better this time. Okay, the server is thinking real hard about that one. There we go. Alright, so we got another Yamcha. Fan of that. So this is the new Vegito. It's a regular character common. And you're thinking, why is Vegito a regular character and a common? Well, it's because he can't attack. Although you can bypass that, but then he won't get all of his keyword effects. So he's essentially just a bundle of keywords that has guard, natural recovery, and overpower, but he still gets killed by Monkey. And anything that gets killed by Monkey is probably not super duper duper strong. As far as what Overpower does, I don't know yet. So it says this effect does not apply to opposing cards with the same cost as this character or lower. This effect seems to imply Overpower itself, but then Overpower does not apply to opposing cards with the same cost as this character or lower. It doesn't make sense. So what everyone is speculating, and hopefully someone's figured this out by the time this video goes live, and I may do some testing too, is I think based off of what it sounds like, this card is not affected by cards that have the same cost or less of a cost than it does. So if your opponent uses, say, a Tail Cut, that costs 3, this costs 3. I think Overpower makes it so that it cannot be affected by that. And if that's the case, then Overpower is going to be very, very powerful on the higher-ended cards. So if you have, say, an 8-cost card and that has Overpower, then all of a sudden Judgment's not going to actually do anything to it. If that's the case, that's pretty good. If it does something else, we'll have to figure that out when the time comes. But yeah, it's a little ambiguous. A lot ambiguous. Otherwise, it's a 9k guard with natural recovery. Even if it can't attack, it's still a really nice wall for early game. And I got another Yamcha. And this just gives Overpower to one card on the field. Alright, so we got another card. Draw 2 event cards, draws nothing if you have none. This is vastly overcosted, considering that most decks are over half event cards, and when you play any draw card, you're probably going to get at least 1 event card anyway. Unless your deck is only running a few event cards and is mostly character cards, this is not going to be a useful inclusion. But if you're running a deck that's high in character cards, like, say, Saiyans, and you want to use this card to be a tech to search out your SP summoning cards, that might be worthwhile. There are applications to it, for sure. Next pack, we got Instant Transmission. So Instant Transmission just returns a character on your side of the field to the hand, a regular character, of course. But you can play it from your deck for a green at no cost. I don't think it's particularly good, but it's a card. And then we got Rapid Fire Super Donuts. This is the Gotenks version of the common Trunks and Goten cards. This deals 1,000 damage to all characters on the opponent's side of the field for each event card in your graveyard, so this can be a massive board wipe. And then it also deals 4,000 damage to the opponent's leader, so that's just some nice icing on the cake. So it's pretty good. Semi-Perfect Cell, I think, has the most potential out of all of the cells in this set, so it KOs all 17s on your side of the field and gives 4,000 to its own attack and HP for each android KO'd by the effect, and then restores your leader's HP by 4,000. Restoring health is something that androids kind of need, so I think that that's got some potential. It also has Surge 7, KOs all other characters on the field with HP values lower than this card's attack. Since this card is going to be buffed up to probably 15 if you have 2 17s, then that means that it's going to be a board wipe. And I think that this card in and of itself is a lot stronger than the other cells because it's got that control facet to it. It also restores some of your health, and you just need to wait until Surge is active. So this is Surge 7, so you just have to wait until your 7th turn, and then this is a complete board wipe. Since Vegito decks are gone, Android decks are going to be able to last a whole lot longer. The only downside to this card is that you need to wait until you have enough 17s, but there are cards to make getting the 17s a lot more consistent too, including just running the old deck, in my opinion. Alrighty, that's a lot of super rares. Alright, we got another Instant Transmission, we got another Kid Buu, we got another Gotenks, and this is Majin Buu Innocent. Regular character, purple, consumed, increase your energy limit by 2. So this does the same thing as the event card, only it consumes the purple instead of requiring you to own it. And then if your energy limit is 7 or higher, then it also adds 4 energy to your bank. Now, the advantage here is if you play this on turn 5 instead of turn 4, then the first one will proc, and then the second one will proc, and then you will get the energy to your bank. So you'd be consuming 1 purple to get that 4 energy and increase your energy limit. I think that this has potential, and you could even bounce it back with the SP Buu from last set, and then play it again, because you'd have the 2 purples at that point. And then your energy limit would go from 5 to 9, and then be 10 the following turn on turn 6. Which gives you a lot of outs to just bank even more energy by taking all of that energy that's going to be left over from your energy limit from having a 10 energy bank to just storing all of it. And this will help you get out that Kid Buu win con for the direct damage. So I think that Buu is looking to be the strongest deck based off of my initial impressions. Alright, next pack. Alright, so we got the new Android 17. Android 17 is consume 1 bank energy, draw an 18 card, draws nothing if you don't have any. So I don't think this card's great, and I don't think its counterpart, the 18 that does the exact same thing, is great. I understand that this is just trying to keep feeding the combo so that you can make your P-cells have all of those effects, but unless you're trying to run some kind of P-cell direct damage deck, I don't think that that's good enough, because as far as stats are concerned, for a 1-drop, this is pretty lackluster. I don't think that hitting your opponent's face for 3 is as valuable as hitting your opponent's face for 4. I don't see this card as having that kind of versatility, and the other 17 having Piercing Strike, being able to bypass guards, is also much stronger, and neither of them have natural healing, so this just feels like it's just nowhere near as strong. I get what they're trying to do, but I just don't see it as panning out. Lol, Hovercar Hijinks. Cause up to 2 SP characters to appear from your SP deck with a total cost of 2 or less. There's a 4-cost card that does this for 3 cards of 3 or less, I think, or 4 or less. But this is a nice budget version to just try and get out those 1-cost SP cards. And there is an SP card now that draws a card, which was Gohan's Great Saiyan form. So this could actually be used to bring out 2 SP cards and draw 2 cards in a rush deck. I think that there's potential there. I don't think that this card is going to make the cut in an ideal list, though. And then we got Vegeta Super Saiyan, the strongest team-up. Discard a Goku card from your hand, then this kills itself. Afterwards, causes a Vegito with a cost of 9 or higher to appear from your deck. So, the new Vegito I don't think is very good. Well, it's okay, but it can't do any damage. So, we'll talk about that if I pull it. If not, we'll talk about it when I get there. But I don't see this card having too much use, because I don't think it's that useful to get out the 9-cost Vegito fusion for the win. That just gives power to some cards on your field. But I mean, it could see some play. It might actually be useful in a rush deck, come to think of it. Okay, I pulled the really good Frieza card and another Buu card. Yeah. So this card is discard a Frieza card from your hand, then randomly KO 2 characters on the opponent's side of the field for 2. That's really good, because Frieza already wants to hand dump. And if you have this card in your hand when you have the 3-cost Frieza, then it's just getting 2 cards out of your hand that were already going to be gotten rid of anyway, and then you can use it to completely counteract an early rush deck. So I think that this card is good early game. It's obviously also great late game. It's just super versatile, and I really like it. Alright, next pack. This is just the new 18. Does the exact same thing as the 17. Alrighty, so we got a new Piccolo SP. Gives 4,000 to the attack and HP of 1 character on your side of the field and gives it Piercing Strike, so this can be used to cheese your opponent's guards and be a nice mid-game buff card. I think that it has some potential in a rush deck just to give you a little bit of extra reach. Next pack. Nothing. Next pack. So we got Trunks. Discard a card from your hand and then gives 1,000 to its attack and 1,000 to its HP and gives itself Overpower. Surge 10, if it's your 10th turn or more. Add 4,000 to its attack, 4,000 to its HP, and give itself Guard. Surge decreases by 1 for every Saiyan card in your graveyard. So, assuming that Overpower gives it immunity to card effects that are 6 or lower, then this is honestly a pretty solid card, because it's going to end up being a 13-15 with Guard that can't be killed by card effects unless the card is 7 or higher. So, pretty solid. Assuming that that's what those cards do, which still don't know for sure, but you know. I think I remember this one. Yeah, adds 3,000 to the attack and HP of a Videl on your field and then draws a Gohan. Not very solid. Even though Videl is a solid early game rush card, this is really just cheer with added defense and a draw 1 for 3 more. That 3 more is just too expensive. Cookie time, destroy a character on the field with a cost less than or equal to your energy bank. So, This is the exact same effect as the green 2-cost Trunks from last set. It's a solid effect for sure. And it's a destroy instead of KO, so I think that this card could very easily be meta. If you can run the Trunks, you would run the Trunks. Actually, that Trunks might KO. I don't remember off the top of my head. It might destroy. But like the fact that this is a destruction card, it's going to be amazing in Buu decks. And this is going to give Buu outs to having so much control. And if Overpower does what we think it does, then this card's only going to be not meta because Overpower is common. Oh, we already looked at that one. Okay. So, next pack. There's a legendary. I think it's a bad one. Randomly causes all SP characters to appear from your SP deck. Their upon appearance effects are not triggered. For one of each symbol. Yeah, that's going to be a meh from me. We got a new Piccolo. Or no, that's Android 20 Energy Absorption. Deal 3,000 to the opponent, heal 3,000 for you. So there's a card like this in Hearthstone that a lot of people really like. I think that this is a good effect. I don't know if it's a good effect on a 4-cost SP with these stats, though. So this card is hilarious to me. I would play this card in a deck that doesn't have green. Because what this card does is it consumes a blue and a green, and then makes it so that both this card and a card on your opponent's side of the field, that's a regular card, returns back to the hand. So it's just to keep everything at bay. But this card is a 2-drop with 7,000 attack, which is the highest that we've seen. So this card may just be used in a face deck anyway, just without the greens. And I don't think that green has too many strong face cards anyway. Not a big fan of draw a card, discard a card. There are cheaper ways to draw cards, and having to discard a card is typically far worse than not having to discard it. So, alright, let's see if we can't get some better cards this time. We've still got plenty of packs left, though. Okay, so a few relevant cards. So Final Wish I don't think is going to be that strong, but it's a 5-cost, draw 4 cards. Deborah is a 3-cost Petrify on a body. That's a green symbol. So the green symbol is nice, the Petrify on a body is nice, the 3-cost is nice. I could see this even being played in androids because it's a control card. And it's a green symbol. So this card has functionally the same stats as 16. It's going to destroy a card on the opponent's side of the field instead of drawing you an android. I think this card has a lot of potential, and it's summonable off of the Earth's Mightiest, meaning it's the exact same cost, effectively. Also gives you an event in the graveyard. It's just also taking up 1 SP spot, but gives you that green symbol. So I think this card has a lot of potential in androids, and in a few other decks. And we have Killer Kids. It brings out 2 Cell Juniors. So the original Cell Junior was 3 for 6, and this is 2 for 2. So this is just a little bit more of a discount. And it seems like they might be trying to make token decks a little bit more relevant. We'll see how that goes. Nothing new. I do not remember the Bulma card. Oh, draw a card and then add 2 energy to your bank, but it consumes. Terrible. My optimism is telling me that this card is terrible. Alright, 2 more super rares. We got another P-Cell and we got another Goku and Piccolo card. Okay, we got a Kienzan, KO, and SP character on the field. I like it, I just wish it wasn't super rare. I feel like this specific type of thing would have been nice to have last set, and it would have been nice to have as a regular rare. As it stands, I don't think this card's going to see play because we now have so much better stuff. Especially since this is KO instead of Destroy. Ooh, very nice. So we got Kid Buu, Majin Roar. You can instant appearance it with 3 purples, which is very easy to do in a Majin deck. And you also have to have energy limit at 7 or higher in order to do this, so you have to do it a little bit later. which isn't super later because if you play an energy increasing card on turn 4, you can bring this out on turn 5. So super easy to bring out. And then it's yellow consumed, KO all characters on your opponent's side of the field with cost equal to or less than the energy in your bank. That's a guaranteed blow up everything because this deck already stores so much energy. So you're going to have like 8, 9 energy. It's going to blow up everything. This is just a guaranteed board clear that you can bring out whenever you want in the Majin deck. And this is one of the reasons why I think the Majin deck is going to be so strong. Let's see. Nothing else new. Okay, I've gotten 4 of those now. There's some stuff. Okay. So this is Path to Greatness. We thought this was going to be a Gohan SP summoning card, but instead it says causes one of the Gohan cards in your hand with a cost equal to or less than your energy limit to randomly appear. So you'd have to be able to already play the Gohan card, and this is just to cheat it out for 3. This is objectively a terrible card. This is just an awful, awful card. Alright, we have an SP card, Goku and Vegeta, Eternal Rivals. Surge 10, gives itself 4k, 4k. Surge decreases by 1 for every Saiyan in your grave. And gives itself Rush. So this card is going to be brought out with probably Battle for the Earth, and then it's going to be an 11-11. And then you're just going to be able to run it into your opponent's board as much as you want, and then it'll keep attacking until it kills hopefully everything. I don't think this card's very strong, though, because it doesn't have enough stats to make this work, and there was the forecast card we saw earlier that I think can do this a little bit better. But as it stands, it's not awful, and it can be brought out with the Goku or Vegeta cards. And one thing I do like about this card is that what it does do is it finally has something else tie for the Yamcha card that was 3/7/7. And this is also very, very likely to be a 3/11/11. So, to be fair, off of Earth's Mightiest, a 3/11/11 is going to be fairly nice for 2. But it's going to have to be so much later in the game that I don't know that it's going to be that relevant. But it is a blue symbol, and I do think that blue got pretty strong in this particular set. So next we have nothing. I forget what the dog does. Discard all cards in your hand. Thank you. So that way, if you ever want to pretend like Vegito is still in the game, you can. Potara power, gain 1 yellow symbol. I think this card's got a lot of potential in several decks. I don't know how good Spirit Bomb's going to be, but if Spirit Bomb is going to be relevant, this card's going to be one of the cards that makes it happen. And Inert Dragon Balls would have been somewhat nice in a Vegito meta, but now that's dead. So yay. Oh wow, I'm out of those already. I don't feel like I've gotten anywhere near as much as I thought I was going to get. Alright, let's go ahead and do some rare packs. Well, it is tournament season, so I should hopefully be able to get some more packs. Alrighty. So we have Anger Awakening. Spend all energy in your bank to cause an SP character with a cost equal to or less than the energy spent to appear from your SP deck. If an SP character with a cost of 7 or higher appears, it gets 3,000 attack and 3,000 HP. So this card can be used if you aren't planning on using what's in your bank to bring out a really powerful card. I don't know if this is going to see play, but I do see the potential in it. Final words. For a green and a purple, kill everything. This is the perfect colors for an Android deck, so that's going to be pretty solid. I think that you might be able to run this in a few other decks too. But I don't know what's going to have green in a Majin deck. But, you know, there's potential there. This is definitely a solid card. Alright, we got Super Rare Goku. Surge 10 gives itself 3k, 3k. Gives itself Natural Recovery and Rush. Surge is decreased by 1 for every Saiyan card in your graveyard, so you don't want to play this immediately, because it's just a 3/6/3, which is still, well, I mean, those aren't amazing stats, but it's not terrible either. But then it becomes a 9/6 with Natural Recovery and Rush, which means that you're going to be able to just swing at a few things on their board, and then it'll let itself recover, and then they'll have to deal with the 9/6. So this is one of the cards that I think is going to make blue a little bit stronger. Nothing? Alrighty. Consume a yellow, activate from your deck without having to have this card in your hand. Draw a card. So it's just a 1 cost, draw 1 card that you can play from your deck if you have a yellow and it's in your deck. I don't think this card is going to be relevant. The fact that it requires a yellow means that it already wasn't going to be relevant. If it was a blue or a purple, maybe. But it being yellow for a free card from your deck, that's going to remove 2 cards from your deck. Not that great, since you could deck out very easily. New hero. Costs 1 SP character with a cost of 9 or less to appear from your SP deck and give it overpower. So again, assuming overpower does what we think it does, you could bring out a 9 cost SP with this. It's a regular rare card. And then that card will be unable to be affected by anything that's 9 or less, which would be very, very nice. Oh, this is the one that brings out a 1 cost SP from your SP deck for 1. Perfect. This is going to be great. Majin Regeneration. Draw 2 Majin Buu cards. Draws nothing if you have none. I really like this card. A 2 cost draw 2 is just a +1, but because all of the Majin Buu cards give you so much bank energy, it's going to be really great for the deck. It's just fantastic. Let's see what else we got. So this Goku, I don't remember if I covered this or not, but it's a 16-15 with overpower. That's okay. Got another Majin Buu. Happy about that. KO a character on your side of the field. Nice. Okay, we got another one of these bad boys. That's going to be nice. Another instant transmission. I feel like there's a lot more jank super rares this set than there were in the last set. Alright, let's open up 10 more rare pack tickets. Then we'll open up 30 regular packs, and that's probably going to be where I'm going to cut it for today, as far as pack opening. And then I'll do the card review. Alright, we got 3rd copy of this. That's great. We got our bajillionth copy of Frenemies. Okay, got another good Frieza card. Happy with that. I wish Frieza got more characters, though. I don't even remember there being a Frieza character this set. Okay, so now we have a full playset of the Frieza card. Alright, we got Gohan, Teen Super Saiyan, Rage Against the Bio-Android. Surge 15 gives itself 3,000 attack and HP, then deals 3,000 damage to a random character on your opponent's side of the field. Surge decreases by 1 for every Saiyan card in your graveyard. Draw 1 of the Saiyan card with Surge from your deck. Draws nothing if you have none. So already this card is a 3 mana 5/5 that draws a card on appearance. Those are decent stats for a card that draws another card. So it's already, in my opinion, got potential in blue, which I think is going to want to be a bit more face damage oriented. And I think that that alone is going to make this card have some serious potential. So this card, you want to see it early so that you can get the free card draw, and you want to see it late so that you can literally just completely blow up anything else on your opponent's side of the field and have a 3 mana 8/8, or 3 energy 8/8. Pretty good. Oh ho ho, yes, this is Planet Namic. Purple Consumed activates from your deck at no energy cost if you consume a symbol. Restore 7,000 HP to a card on your side of the field or your leader. So 3 cost, restore 7 is not very good, but consuming a purple to restore health to your leader might be better. This has potential in an Android deck, which, like I said, already has those major weaknesses to direct damage, and you can just play it straight from your deck. My concern is that you're going to run out of cards in your deck, but that's something that direct damage may have prevented anyway. So here's the reason why blue may be good. So this consumes 3 to deal 9,000 damage to a random card or your opponent's leader. So I don't think you get a pick because it says random character. Now, it's possible you do get to choose the face. If not, then it does random, but I really don't think so based off of how other cards have been. This really seems like it's just 9,000 to something random. But the fact that it can hit face means that you just clear the board and then play this. And it's also playable off of Battle for the Earth, which is already great, and it's got great stats. So it can blow up potentially 2 things, or hit the face for 9, and then hit something else for 8. Like, these are pretty good stats, so all in all, I think this is a really solid card. Got another one of these. Alrighty, so I got my 3rd copy of this version of Cell. That deals 2,000 damage instead of doing useful things. But I might try and make a Rush variant of androids. See how that one plays out. Got another completely vanilla Goku. Okay, got another Vegito summoner. Alrighty, so now we're going to do regular pack summons. Oop, wrong one. I could not imagine the tedium of opening these one pack at a time. Alright. Pull rates are substantially worse with these packs, so we're not expecting too much here. I'm speedrunning this. Okay, there's a super rare. This is the one that KOs everything on the field for green and yellow. Or sorry, green and purple. Okay, we got our 4th copy of that. And I think that's our 3rd copy of that Gotenks card. So we got a few super rares. Obtained 2,500 cards. Oh, almost made that mistake again. So the big issue that I'm seeing with this set is that there's so much stuff. Like, the androids are entirely dependent on you having what you need from the previous set, and the Buu stuff is entirely dependent on you having what you need from the previous set. So, we'll see how that works. I do think I have a lot of what I need to make a Gotenks deck. There's another semi-perfect cell. I'm pretty close to having playsets of the super rares too. Definitely have all the Buus we need now, and a bajillion copies of Frenemies. Okay, that's our playset of Vegeta. So I think it's still possible. Well, we'll see if we even want to do that, because I don't know if I even have Vegito for the win. And we didn't pull any of the legendary Vegito from this set, which I haven't gotten to explain why I don't think it's that strong, but maybe we'll pull it in these 10 packs. 8-Ball says outlook not good. Okay, nothing too fancy. Kind of interested to see how much dust we're going to get out of this, though. Wow, we have a playset of that legendary. Which is the one thing that you would never need a playset of. Well, actually, there is that card that sends all of your SP cards back to your SP deck. I guess you could try and make a deck that focuses on using both of those. Although, doesn't it require consuming every symbol? Oh, this is a super rare we haven't got yet. So, Kid Buu, the final battle. Increase your energy limit by 1 if you have a purple. And then adds 4 energy to your bank when your energy limit is at 7 or higher. This is summonable off of Fight for the Earth, and it's a 7/8, which means that it can punch the crap out of an energy cutter Vegito. So, honestly, pretty solid. Yeah. I'll probably be running that in the final build. Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and first we're going to see how much we got for card points here. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to collect my missions. So we got 80 coins, Jace Silver, Trunks Warrior of Hope Saga, Silver and Gold. Oh, I'm sure those leader icons are just for having the DLC. Okay. Alright, let's disenchant a crap ton of cards. Alright, we have 9,800 card points. That should be enough to craft quite a few things. I'm probably going to focus on a Buu deck, and I may dismantle some of these Super Warriors. It requires each symbol. That's just... ugh. Ugh. Alright. So let's view all cards, filter on Card Blast 3, and see where we're at. Okay. So we got a play set of the Ginyu Goku. We got 2 of the Bulma. So Ginyu Goku, being a 0-cost green with no restrictions and just a pure vanilla, I think it has some potential. We'll see exactly how much over the course of the next few weeks. It's going to depend on how important getting those green symbols are versus what other greens are available. Bulma adds 1 energy to your bank. This card is objectively terrible. We have a 1-cost super rare Buu that does it without requiring the purple, and I don't think that it being 0 is all that impactful. Like, I get that it's supposed to be a 0-cost add an energy to your bank, but I think this card would actually be better if it was just an event card for the same cost. Feigned Illness, obviously not great. Sometimes you do want symbols, and it may be useful in certain cases if you want to get rid of, say, the Yamcha your opponent put on your field, maybe, but I don't see it as ever really having potential. So No Problem returns 1 SP character in your graveyard to your SP deck. I think that this card is good, but since we have one that returns all of them for 1, I think that one's going to be a little bit better. Angry Awakening, I think, has some potential, but we're going to have to wait and see just how much potential it has. Because this is the one that lets you get an SP character out of your deck with cost equal to your bank, but then it consumes all of the energy in your bank. So I don't know that you would want to use this in any deck that's going to be storing a lot of bank. And I don't know if other decks would want to not break their bank earlier to have this be an SP summoning card. Because it's really not free. Like, really, you're just spending the amount of SP that you have to summon that card. And even the most cheap basic SP summoning cards are usually about the same cost as they are for the card that they summon, sometimes cheaper. So I don't know if Angry Awakening is going to see any play. The only thing that it really has going for it is the plus 3,000 attack and HP, which doesn't seem that great. So actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to think this card probably isn't that good. So Gohan Kid gives 1,000 to its own attack whenever you play a Saiyan, whenever a Saiyan appears on your side of the field. So this card can get real strong real fast, and it might be decent for a rush deck. My big concern is that this is a purple and not a blue, and I think that rush Saiyans are going to want to be blue. So we got 17 and 18. I don't think these cards are going to see too much play unless direct damage burn from perfect cells is somehow good. I don't see how it would be. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change my opinion on Android 18. So 18 might be good because Kiss is still a card, and this card costs 1. So this means that you can do the whole Kiss 18 reunification combo for 6 now instead of 7. And this may be useful just to be that cheap 18. And for other Android decks that are more budget, this could be a replacement for the one that increases your energy because of it being cheaper, for one, and because it does open up those combo potentials early. So Chi-Chi with Rush, not great. This Videl is Surge 3 to become a 3K 3K, and a Surge 4 to become a 3K 3K, or a 4K 4K, sorry. So in other words, if you play it on turn 4, then it's a 4K 4K. Honestly, this card is pretty terrible because it's still weaker than the original Videl, even after all of that in terms of actually doing face damage. Instant transmission, maybe some potential for decks that want to spam on-call effects, maybe like for a Majin Buu deck, where you want to get that extra bank limit, possibly, but that's still more expensive than not doing it, and there's no green symbols in that deck. I don't know. There's always potential. The more progressively broken on appearance effects get, the better this is going to be, but we'll have to wait and see if those actually pan out. Kamehameha. No clue if this card is going to be useful in a Gotenks deck, but it's not terrible. That's all I can say. Optimism is trash. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to dismantle all of them. Yeah, it's consumed. Dismantle. Card is so bad, I dismantled it instantly. I didn't even need to. That's how we do it here. Legendary Instructor has potential. Just cause a one cost SP to appear. Match of the Century, because it draws a card and gives a power boost, I think it has potential in early face decks, although it may not be as much of a boost as is needed. But any type of card that gives you extra attack is useful, because that's effectively just a face damage burn. And the fact that it gives HP too might be useful in certain situations. Gripped by Fear, discard all cards in your hand. I'm not going to dismantle this one, because that's hilarious, and I might meme with it someday. Warriors of the Otherworld, return all SP character cards in your graveyard to your SP deck. Tier S+. I love this card. Really good. Royal Defense Force causes 3 Royal Defense soldiers to appear. They have 2,000 attack and 1,000 HP, and they cannot attack the opponent's leader. So as far as like cheap early control, these can take out 3 Videls. They can take out Taunt Gohan of either form and a Videl. There's some serious potential here. And they can take out 17. Just one of them can take out 17. So this card, I'm not going to say that it's bad. The only downside is that token decks typically want to buff the tokens and then attack face, and these can't do that. But since this is a 1-cost card that brings out 3 2/1s, that's really, really, like, that is a lot. Alright, so Uncontrollable Anger, give Rush. This is a pretty standard. We have a new keyword, let's give it to a card. There are certain cards that would absolutely be ridiculous with Rush, especially any card that has negate damage. So this card has some potential. It could even be used in androids, although I don't think androids need that level of control since they've already got so much. Amazement, remove an effect from one character on the field. Always effects are not removed. Honestly, not amazing, despite the name of the card. A Glimmer of Hope, give one character on your opponent's side of the field unable to attack leader until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is the only reason why Amazement might be run, is if your opponent like brings out, say, the 25k Buu, and it's going to ram your face in. You play this, now it can't attack. Some potential, allows you to stall, but there's a version of this card that's just a little bit more expensive that applies to all cards on your opponent's side of the field, so that one might be a little bit stronger. Departure, consumes a yellow, activate from your deck at no energy cost, draw 1 card. I already mentioned, I don't see this card seeing play. I don't think it's very good, for various reasons. Intimidation, give overpower to 1 character on the field. I don't know. I don't know yet. A negate damage Frieza that you also give guard to might have some use with overpower, assuming overpower does what we think it does, but we're going to still have to test that. You are number 1. Send 2 Saiyan cards from your deck to the graveyard. You don't get symbols. I don't think that this is that amazing. I understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to speed up your surge, but I don't think that the surge is always that necessary. And there are plenty of Saiyans to fuel that surge with how Saiyan decks play. Inert Dragon Balls would have been great to have last time around. Now it's not so great. Gohan Tournament Ready. Moderate offensive stats. Decent defensive stats. Draw a card, discard a card. Not a fan. I don't like having to throw cards into the grave, typically. However, this is trying to increase the speed of those Surge decks, so it has an idea behind it. I just don't know if I would use it. And for all I know, Surge could actually just be amazing, and you could be getting out like turn 5 of these 15 Surges that are just ridiculous. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't particularly care for that type of thing. This one is even more of the same. Draw 2 card, discard 2 cards. I don't like it. Because to me, that's just taking 2 cards right out of your deck when you already have such a small deck size. And even though I know direct damage is going to be a concern, I still feel like with the way the game is, I don't want to risk decking out with such a small deck size, especially if there's limited ways to bring cards back into your deck. Neo Tri-Beam Tien, honestly, I think this card is going to be great for new players. It's going to be great for aggro decks. It also has plenty of control potential. I don't know that I would necessarily want to use that in decks that use blue and green symbols, because that's typically Saiyan decks. But still, being a 7-2 for 2 is great for aggro. So this card has some serious potential. Trunks, deal 4,000 damage to all characters on your opponent's side of the field if you have a Trunks in your hand. Good control card. There are plenty of reasons to want to play this card. I think that the Gotenks deck might be pretty good anti-aggro. So it has some potential there. Death Slicer, obviously I've already said this card is amazing. You want Friezas in your graveyard, and maybe that Krillin card would be better off in a Frieza deck. Who knows? But, yeah, just a really solid card. Return from training, cause an SP character with a cost of 2 or less to appear from your SP deck, and give it Rush. I don't know what 2-cost SPs give themselves Swift Attack, but there are some really strong 2 SP cost cards right now that came out in this set that I think could really benefit from this. Majin Regeneration, I'm going to give this card my thumbs up. You're going to be running a lot of Majin Buus in your deck. There is a 1-cost card that says draw a card. If the card you drew was a Buu, draw another card. But this seems to be a little bit more direct. The extra cost is going to be worth it, and you're already stacking so much extra energy anyway that this isn't going to hurt you to pay that 1 extra mana for, or energy for. So honestly, really solid card. Fusion. What's funny to me is that this card, Fusion, actually just gets cards out of your deck. And if you get the wrong Goten, it could even kind of mess with your ability to fuse. Killer Kids, pretty decent card for token decks. I like that they're both 4K attack. I think that what this does that other cards don't do is that for rush decks, this gives you 8,000 in stats for attack. And that's going to be super useful in rush decks. So I think that this has potential. The downside being that you don't get symbols, and those rush decks really want those symbols to play those Kamehameha Gokus. Potara Power, obviously this is a good card. Like, just intuitively, everyone can see that this card is a good card. Gives you a yellow symbol for 2. No real way for your opponent to be disrupted by it, so honestly, just really solid card. Cookie Time, S++. Just a ridiculously strong card. Goku Gravity Trained gives itself Swift Attack, Rush, and Natural Recovery, and is a 9/6 if you meet the conditions for your Surge 10. Blue symbol, really strong card. Really strong card. Gohan, like I said, this card is great late game for what it does, but it's also great early game for what it does. Late game, it can be used to clear out a major threat. It can kill a Vegito. Well, actually, it may not be able to kill a Vegito because of Overpower. But it can kill a Perfect Cell, the one that has 26k defense. It can kill a lot of cards, basically. And it's also got beefy stats late game. An 8/8 for 3 is really strong. And then it also has the advantage of being a blue symbol, and it can bring out another card that's a Saiyan with Surge earlier in the match. So, all in all, very strong card. Vegito Brimming with Arrogance, decent wall card. Not the best, although the fact that it's green is actually pretty strong. So, it being green, I think, gives it some extra potential where it otherwise might not have had it. But Guard, Natural Recovery, and Overpower means it's going to be a little bit stickier than a lot of other cards. But because it's only a 3 cost, that means that all of the monkeys should still be able to destroy it. Upa, Familiar Face, adds 2,000 to the attack of one character on your side of the field and gives it Overpower until the end of your opponent's turn. I don't know that I like a card that's going to give Overpower temporarily. I think it'd still be fine if it gave it permanently, but otherwise it's essentially just like a buff card, which is always good. It's a green symbol, so those green symbols may actually help in other ways too, so not a terrible card, but I mean, it's a common for a reason. Goku and his kids, I did not get one of this, but it draws a Goku, Gohan, and Goten card from your deck. I don't think that this card is really that necessary. Saiyan decks already have plenty of draw options, and if you get too far into the game, this card's only going to draw particular things, and there's already a 3-cost card that's just draw 2 cards. So I don't know how useful this is as a 3-cost draw 3. I don't think it's worth being a legendary. I would never craft this. It may be worth playing if you have a copy of it, though. Rapid Fire Super Donuts blows up your opponent's board and deals 4,000 damage to the opponent's leader for 3. Pretty solid card. Gives Gotenks the ability to close some games out. Destructo Disc, like I said, the fact that it's a super rare, the fact that it's a KO, and the fact that it came out this set instead of last set means that I think that it's just not going to be as viable as it would have been otherwise. Naughty Book. Naughty Book has a lot of potential. I do not know how many Roshi cards there are. I don't recall seeing one, but there's a really, really good 1-cost Krillin from the last set that has Piercing Strike built in. So I think that that one has serious potential with this. Just playing some cheap Krillins and some cheap Master Roshis would be good. I don't remember Master Roshi cards off the top of my head, so I'm going to search for Master Roshi real quick, and I'm going to stop this search for a second. So there's only one Master Roshi card, and it gives 3,000 to the HP of a Goku card. So I don't know how viable that's going to be, since it's so expensive and so underwhelming. Even giving it the ability of Naughty Book isn't seeming like it's going to really work out in the long run. It sucks, because this card would be great just on Krillin. And there's so many good Krillins, but it looks like this one's just not going to pan out. If they ever printed a 1 or 2 cost Roshi, though, that card would be absolutely insanely busted. Alright, so card set. Hey, you stop that. Back to Card Blast 3. Just so random that they would make a Master Roshi buff card with only one Master Roshi in the game. Alright, so we are back here. Alright, so this card I said was going to be decent in androids as a potential option. It can stave off your death by direct damage by just being able to consume these or play these to heal. The downside is that there's a 0-cost heal that heals for just as much. So, the fact that it can be played from deck is nice, but But you have so many excess symbols in androids that it may be useful. So, Hovercar Hijinks, pretty decent card. Path to Greatness, terrible card. Earth's Champion gives unable to attack leader to all characters on your opponent's side of the field until the end of your opponent's next turn. That's pretty solid. It can just stop lethal for an entire turn if your opponent doesn't have direct damage. So that's pretty good. Stops Kaioken combos, can do other things. I think that that has some potential. Gohan potential unleashed. Surge 10 becomes a 10-13, and that's it. So a 10-13 green for 4. This is a green symbol. It is a Saiyan. It does have Surge, so it can be drawn off of the Gohan. I don't think that the stat line is necessarily good enough to justify, but otherwise I do think it's a card that has some potential. So Android 16. I like that we got an Android 16 because it gives the potential for the super rare Gohan from last set to have its instant appearance trigger. I just don't think this is a good enough card to merit it. It's a Surge 7, so that's only going to proc on the 7th turn. And it's 5/12 with guard if it happens on that turn. And then it gives overpower to android cards other than this one on your side of the field. The only android card that would be relevant to would be P-Cell. And yeah. Situational. It's purple instead of green. I don't like that. I just don't think it's a very strong card. Common for a reason. Majin Buu Innocent. Increase your energy limit by 2 by consuming a purple. Solid. Upon appearance, adds 4 energy to your bank when your energy limit is at 7 or higher. Again, solid. You're going to do them in order, though, so you need to have 2 purples to proc both effects, but otherwise, if played on turn 5, like I said before, it'll give you 4 energy to your energy bank, which is pretty nice, and then also increase your energy limit by 2. I don't know that you would want to run 4 of these, though. There's 3 of these. Ginyu Force causes one of the Ginyu Force cards in your SP deck to appear. So this is going to be used to bring out the first one, which brings out the second one, which brings out the third one, which brings out the fourth one, which brings out Captain Ginyu for 4. And then it will also give you the gold symbol that you need. So I do think that this will be somewhat useful in a Ginyu Force deck, but I don't know if it's worth gimping everything else that your deck wants to do. Like, one of the nice things about the Ginyu Force deck was that it had so many other options that I could use the symbols for. So, like, I was running the 2-cost Goku, and Father-Son Kamehameha, and then just a few Saiyans here and there in my Ginyu Force deck to both utilize the symbols, so like I was running the 6-cost Vegito, and to power up the Father-Son Gohans to make them just 15k, because honestly, you don't need to run Father-Son Gohan in a pure Saiyan deck, because it can kill just about anything with just 3 Saiyans in the graveyard. And you needed Goku in the deck anyway, so I was just running them to run them, and then they could utilize the symbols, since you get 1 of each symbol, at least, from playing the Ginyu Force. But I don't like the idea of eliminating your entire SP deck just to have the entire Ginyu Force be your SP deck. Although this does make better use out of the 1-cost card that brings all of your SP cards back to your deck, so Ginyu Force has some potential to field flood that way. I don't know how strong it's going to be, but obviously, the idea behind Ginyu Force is that you have multiples of these and multiples of the card that puts all of your cards from your SP deck back into your, or from your graveyard back into your SP deck. Ladies man, terrible. Final words, great. Namic on the Verge. You must have a Frieza card in your SP deck to use this. Causes 1 Frieza card from your SP deck to appear, then causes 1 character card to randomly appear from your opponent's hand. On appearance effects are not activated. So Frieza has a lot of strong SP cards, but those cards are strong because of their on-appearance effects, so I don't know if I like this card. One of them is Destroy Everything. Another one is Destroy a random card for every Frieza in your graveyard. Another one gets plus 10,000 power, I think, if you have energy. So I don't know that you would necessarily want to do this in a Frieza deck. I don't think it's worth, other than to disrupt your opponent's hand and potentially kill their strategies. Bringing out, say, their parting, or what was it, the Angel Goku. And then killing that before it can be used to draw any cards, that might be useful. Bringing out an opponent's P-Cell that they've happened to draw into before they get a chance to do the on-appearance effects, or just negating any on-appearance effects that their cards might have. I mean, it has potential. Meal Prep, recover 12,000, decent. Watch and Learn, draw 2 event cards. Unless you're running only a few event cards, I don't think this card has potential. If you're running specifically only a few event cards, and those event cards are a little bit higher costed, and you're doing that to get out specific combo pieces, that might have potential. If you're playing a Kaioken deck, I think this might be something you could play, since Kaioken deck really only needs an SP summon card and the 4-cost card now. So maybe in that deck, although I don't know how the Kaioken deck's going to stay alive. But the fact that all you have to do is summon Vegito and then play the 4-cost, pretty good. There's potential there. Killing Time, increase your energy limit by 2, draw a card. Just need to own the purple, don't have to consume it. I like this card. I think that the fact that they have this on a body that's a Majin Buu that's searchable and gives you a purple symbol is probably better. But this card is not terrible. I could see this being run in a few decks that just want to ramp up, so maybe androids. Anything that really runs purple could benefit from this card, because you're making a temporary investment to have a permanent future investment. Vegeta's Super Saiyan Strongest Team Up. Vegeta Fusion for the Win is a good card. The other Vegito is not that amazing, but still not terrible. Semi-Perfect Cell. Restores your leader's HP by 4,000. I think it does that even if you don't KO any 17s. Also becomes moderately powerful, and for Surge 7, consuming a purple blows up your opponent's field with essentially what is an all trained up, insulated into a single card for a symbol that you do not need. And you can play it with nothing on the board. and still get that effect. So honestly, this card is probably one of the stronger cards in the set. This actually is giving a lot of utility to androids. The only thing I actually don't like about this card is that it's a yellow symbol, because androids don't use yellow symbols. But who knows? Maybe we could try and run parting words. Or not parting words, the Spirit Bomb thing. There's potential. We'll see how that goes. Summoning Gokus and Piccolos. So Piccolo has the 7/5 legendary that gives +5/+5 if you consume some energy. Goku has the various Super Saiyan cards. Honestly, this can give you a huge tempo swing for just 5. I think that this has some major potential. The only downside to this card is that you can't run 3 of them unless you're going to be putting SP cards back into your SP deck, because if you play the 3rd one, you can only get out 1 more card. So the Final Wish, draw 4 cards. It's a common for a reason. Deadly Mistake, KO a regular card on your opponent's side of the field and give them a worthless Yamcha. I love it. I love it. Goku Power Pole. It's decent. I don't think this is going to be played in the Gug list, because the Gug lists obviously want to have stronger Gokus, but it's not a terrible Goku either. But I don't know what deck would want to play this, because it's not fast enough for the blue decks. It's not big enough for the Gug decks. I don't know who would want to play this, but it's not a terrible card either. So, assuming Overpower does what we think it does, this Trunks is fairly decent. But that's just about it. Saiyan Family. I don't think this card has a whole lot of potential, but I see that it's trying to force out those surges early. The fact that I can bring out any Saiyan is also kind of nice too. So, it's not terrible, it's not amazing. Like, Cell games can do everything this does without having you discard. So, I don't know. Super Saiyan Creed consumes 1 blue, causes 2 Saiyan cards in your deck with a cost of 4 or lower to randomly appear. Unless you're running cards that are specifically 4 or lower, this card is not going to be that great, because on-appearance effects aren't triggered, which are typically good effects, and it's going to consume one of the blues that you would want to use to finish your opponent off. I just don't see this as being that great. But who knows? The fact is, if you're not running 3 or lower cost Saiyan cards in your deck, your Saiyan deck's not going to be functioning. That's just objective. So you're very unlikely to even get back your energy cost in stats for what you bring out. I don't see this card as being very good. The only benefit that you can get is that you can draw 2 cards off of Angel Goku, but that's 4 cards out of your deck. And 4 cards is a lot of cards to lose. Alright, so Cell Perfect... Ultimate Strength, deals 2,000 damage to the leader, where it should be KOing cards. The fact that this card has to be eating your 17s and 18s means that it's competing with Semi-Perfect Cell, which is a much better card, at least in terms of controlling the board. So, this card is just a finisher. It's trying to kill your opponent, but I don't know that that's that good. There's very limited ways to make it function, because you'd have to break bank in order to play this from hand. You could try and use the symbols to bring it from deck, but that's not always going to happen. But like, the best case scenario is you bring this out of your deck, but you still need the bank. Well, so the reason why I'm saying you need the bank is because the 17 and 18 that search for other 17s and 18s, which you'd want to play after this so that you can play another one, they require you to have bank, but then this card is going to make it very difficult for you to have that bank, because you're likely going to have to play at least one of these from hand, and then you're not going to be able to search for your 17s and 18s out of deck, so... I'm finding it really difficult to see the potential of this card, unless it's just being used as a finisher where your opponent's already weak from you having done various other things. But it is a yellow symbol, and that means that you can chain it into Super EX Spirit Bomb. So there's potential there. I'm not going to say the card is awful, I'm not seeing it as being as valuable as the other cells from the set. So Kid Buu Dark Wave adds 4 to your bank, pretty much guaranteed. Upon appearance, if you have energy limit of 10, then it's 25k 14 swift attack, which means that it's stronger than the Kid Buu SP, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So honestly, this is a very solid card. I just don't know if the deck is going to... Well, I think the deck will be fast enough in getting this out, because you can get this out reliably on turn 6, turn 7, and have the bonus effect. So, yeah, I think that this card has enough potential that it's worth it. I don't know how many I'd run yet, but I'm going to try and build a Buu deck eventually. Final Flash. I'm sad I didn't get one. Or did I? Oh. Final Flash. I'm so glad I pulled one. Consumes a yellow, destroys, specifically destroys, meaning they don't get their tokens, or their references, all characters on your opponent's side of the field. So that's going to be useful in trying to keep your opponents from killing you with Super EX Spirit Bomb. New hero. Causes one SP character with a cost of 9 or less to appear from your deck and gives it overpowered. I think this is going to be really solid. I mentioned that before. Lots of potential for this card, assuming overpower does what we think it does. Which I'm hoping by the time I'm done with this video, someone's figured that out and we can like discuss that in the comments or something. Super EX Spirit Bomb. Consume all yellow symbols and then deal 5,000 damage to your opponent for each yellow symbol consumed. Obviously, this can be an OTK if you have 6 yellow symbols. All you have to do is punch your opponent for 10,000, though, and then you just need 4. And there's so many ways to get the symbols. I think that this card is going to be really good. I just don't know exactly how good. And then I somehow pulled 3 of these, Super Warriors. Super Warriors is essentially just going to be the Ginyu Force for much later in the game. The issue is that you need so many symbols to make it work. I don't see this card as being good, and I don't think that I need 3 copies of it. I'm probably going to dismantle some of these at some point, but yeah, I don't see this card as having as much potential as other cards in the set. Alright, so now we are on the SP cards. So first off, we have Gohan, Great Saiyan, Defender of Justice. Now, we can play the 1-cost card that lets you bring out a 1-cost SP card. And this is a 3/4, which is decent, and it draws a card on appearance, which is also decent. So, all in all, this is a decent card. Not the best, not the worst. For cards that are going to be chain spamming other cards, I think you would rather have the cards that give power to your whole board, but honestly, drawing a card's not terrible either, and it's the right symbol. 2-cost, Kid Buu, Raw Battle Instinct. Basic Buu effect from this set. Gives 4 to your energy bank if your energy limit's at 7 or higher. This is an earlier card, so you might want to play it a little bit earlier, but So it adds 5,000 to its own attack. When you unlock your bank with 7 or more energy in it, then restores your bank. What's interesting about this card is that technically, if you play a couple more Boos, you'll have 8 more in your bank, and then you can unlock your bank again, and then restore it, and then he can get plus 10,000 power and be a 17k 2-cost card. That's redonkulous. That is absolutely nuts. But he'd have to stay alive for a turn in order for that to hit face, so I don't think it's supremely relevant. But if it did, that would be hilarious. Because technically, with enough bank, and by using that for your final turn, all you have to do is do that 4 times, which is actually very easy. Or 5 times, which is actually very easy with a Buu deck. To just keep cycling your energy like that, and then every time you do that, it's going to guarantee restore your bank. And then you just pop them in the face for 32. Not sure that that's going to be any tactic anyone uses, but if this card is not cleared, it can be very, very dangerous. Gotenks, very solid card. It's got the right stat line for what it wants to do, and I think it's going to see a lot of play. Also like that it's a green symbol. Goku and Vegeta, Surge 10, becomes 11/11, gives itself Rush, summonable off of a few different things, such as Earth's Mightiest. Honestly, I just like that this card is blue, has a great stat line already, even without the effect, and then the bonus effect is just icing on the cake if you can get it. Remove always effects, typically not going to be great. The only time that this Solar Flare is going to be useful is if your opponent plays the Hercule card to cause all of your cards to not be able to attack. You play this, now they can attack, you run them over. That's the only way this card's going to see play, and I don't see that happening, ever. Petrify on a body for the same cost if you have Earth's Mightiest to symbol. Good card. Super Buu, cheap yellow cost, or cheap cost yellow card. So this is already good for that. So Earth's Mightiest getting early yellow symbols. If you see this happening, though, you know that you're about to get EX Spirit Bombed. But Yeah, restores your bank or gives itself energy equal to how much energy you have in your bank. So either way, it's either going to give you back your bank or it's going to be a huge body. All in all, I think this card is a game-changing card. Really strong card. Doesn't even have to be limited to Buu decks. This could be played in your Ginyu Force decks. This could be played in any deck that wants to have a gold symbol for burn damage. So you could use it with your Big Bang Vegitos, so on and so forth, to just try and make a burn deck. Honestly, really solid. Time Swore Kaioken Kamehameha. Up. Really solid card. Like it. The fact that it's random is going to make it a little bit weaker, but it's got such a great body, such a great stat line, that I don't think that it's going to be that big of a detriment to it in the long run. Like, you'll want to play this card, and you'll feel good about playing this card, just because of what it does and how good it is. Yamcha, favorite card in the set. Forces your opponent to lose a card from their hand to the board, and then you can just steamroll it, or maybe use a Final Flash to get it completely removed, and then they don't get their token. Anything that they were trying to do with combos, gone. So this is going to be great against several different decks that are just trying to get their cards from... trying to get their cards in particular order. And then the fact that this is a 15k guard is also just incredible. So I really like this card. Give negate damage to one other character on your side of the field until the end of this turn. That's good for cards that have Rush, and that's clearly what this is intended to be used with. So you just combine this with a card with Rush, and then it just steamrolls their entire board. It's not good enough to be run with how much other stuff needs to be run in this current meta, though. Android 20 Energy Absorption, deals 3,000 and heals 3,000. It's a good tempo swing, to be honest, but the body is just too weak, and I don't think that it's good enough to be a purple. Yamu and Spopovich, draw Yamu and Spopovich. There's only one of each, so while I like that they're trying to make that deck more thematic, it just doesn't pan out. While I do like the Yamu and Spopovich cards because they are the strongest cards for their cost on average, if you play them together, that's no longer relevant because now we have Tien, which ties Spopovich, and Yamu being 9k as a 3-drop is no longer as relevant as it once was because of the other cards. So it's too late. If we had this card before, it might have been viable, but it's just too late now for that deck to really take off. Kid Buu, the final battle. This is just owned instead of having to consume, which is already great. Good stat line for trying to get it out with Battle for Earth, which gives it swift attack as well. And then you just get free bank energy, and it increases your energy limit by 1. This card is just so free. Now, the downside is that it's only increasing your energy limit by 1 instead of 2. But this may just be the card that you want to bring out on turn 3 or 4, whereas you're going to bring out the other Buu on the following turn. And by that point, you'll have 8 energy in your bank on turn 6. Or 9 energy. Hang on, +1, +3. So turn 6, you'll have 9 energy. Yeah, that's... The ramp that Buu has is pretty great, and this card is just making it that much easier. Okay, so I did not get this cell, but I don't really feel sad about... You know what, I skipped over the Ginyu Force. Jace calls Goldo. Goldo calls Captain Ginyu. I think Birder calls Raccoon. Raccoon calls Jace, or whatever. Or maybe the other way around. Either way, you get the idea. One calls the other, calls the other, calls the other, and they have each of the tokens accounted for. So one has Piercing Strike, one has Natural Recovery. Not super relevant. Anyway. Although they are 5 cost, which is kind of nice because that means that they're not going to be getting monkeyed, which is the problem that the deck has now. But then there's so much other stuff that can just clear it up, like an All Trained Up or a Semi-Perfect Cell. So I don't know how strong that's going to be, but obviously, like I said before, the idea with the Ginyu Force deck is that they're going to bring them all back and then do it again. Alright, so this Perfect Cell, KO all 17 and 18s. For each card that you KO'd, you get 2 Cell Juniors. So if you just KO 117 and 118, you will get 4 Cell Juniors. If you KO 3, then you're going to be wasting a spot. And the Cell Juniors are, of course, the 4,000 attack, 1,000 defense. And this is a 5-drop, so it's fairly cheap to bring out. So the problem that this card has is that you want to have the Surge effect. The Surge effect is going to make all of your Cell Juniors have swift attack, and they'll be 5/5s. And you have that space available because the purple is going to be consumed, but you have 1,000,001 purples. So this might actually be a decent board generator. The only issue that I have is that this card doesn't get any power. So it's also 5 cost. There's not a real convenient 5 cost summoning card. So it doesn't have an instant appearance. There's no real way to make this come out conveniently. You're probably going to be playing it on turn 7 anyway, so you'll have to be using something like Earth Savior, which is going to be a little bit energy inefficient. But even then, if you bring out an Earth Savior and you have a 17 and 18 on the field, this comes out, they get blown up, and then boom, you have 4 5/5s with Swift Attack by just trading in your Android 17 and 18. And I like this because the big issue that the Perfect Cells have right now is that you have to directly card disadvantage yourself in order to get their beneficial effects, whereas this is not card disadvantage at all. 5/5s with Swift Attack are honestly a little bit stronger than the 17 and 18s that you're going to have otherwise. So this card has potential, and I'm not going to say that it's bad. I don't know if I want to use an SP slot for the deck on this, though. That's kind of where my concern is. But it's got potential. And as far as like a token summoning deck, I could see this being used in a token summoning deck, potentially. Goku, Super Saiyan 3, pushing past his limits, Surge 10, increase bank energy by 5. The Surge decreases by 1 for every Saiyan card in your graveyard, and then adds 3,000 to its attack and HP when your energy limit is 7 or higher. So this is supposed to be a 10-11 Goku for 5 that gives you 5 bank energy, so it's supposed to, end quotes, pay for itself. There's not really a good, cheap way to get this out, but I mean, it's going to pay for itself anyway, so I'm not certain how relevant that is. It's a purple, so this may actually be better spent in a deck that wants to get that bank energy. The problem is that the decks that would want to have that bank energy and that would appreciate the purple would be more of your Majin Buu decks, but they already have cards that increase the bank energy by 4 instead of 5. They don't have to wait for Surge 10, which would be your 10th turn unless you have Saiyans. And why are you playing Saiyans in your Majin Buu deck except for, say, Majin Vegeta to blow up the board? Oops. So, other than your Vegetas, this is going to be coming out super late in order to get the effect. I don't see it being worth it. I just don't. Piccolo, the power of Namekian Fusion, adds 4,000 attack and HP and gives a card Piercing Strike. So this is more of a rush card deck kind of thing where you're going to be using this to try and finish off someone when they play a big guard to try and keep you from winning. Like, let's say they play the 17-18 stall combo. This will give you all of the abilities that you need to just punch them right in the face, and it'll work, and they'll die, and they'll feel real bad. But it's expensive, and I don't see how it would be fit. So there's that to be considered. So Raccoon summons Birder. Birder summons Jace. Jace summons Goldo. Goldo summons Ginyu. That's what it is. So anyway, you can see that between all of them, they give you one of each symbol, and then Ginyu gives you an extra yellow symbol. So because you're getting 2 yellow symbols for that, and the goal is going to be to refresh those symbols, it's possible that the Ginyu Force deck might be able to run EX Spirit Bomb. We'll see how that goes. My concern is that you also want to run the normal Ginyus, which is going to require you to consume a yellow. And then if you consume a yellow with the normal Ginyus, then it's going to be taking that yellow away from your EX Spirit Bomb. But you would still absolutely have to do that. So you're kind of stuck there. Alright, so we have Goku Empathy for the Wicked. Surge 10, it becomes a 16-15 Overpower. I don't think that just Overpower is good enough. I think Overpower needs to be combined with some other effect like Guard or Natural Recovery to be super good. So even though it's got good stats, the fact that it's a 6-drop means that there's so many other things that can kill it, like a Perfect Cell. Not sure if that's really going to work out. Captain Ginyu is going to be Swole. It's a 10-8 for 7, and it always has Overpower. The Overpower is good because of its cost being 7. Otherwise, not terribly amazing, but the fact that everything summons each other thing is how that deck's supposed to work. So, it is what it is. Supreme Kai, on appearance, draw 3 cards. I could see that having some potential if you want to use your SP deck to do that. It's a green, which is also kind of nice, but I just don't feel like that's supremely relevant, and I don't think that that's typically what people want to use their SP deck for. Goku Super Saiyan 3, Astounding Power. Consumes one of each symbol other than yellow. Deal 5,000 to your opponent, heal 5,000 to you. Your opponent Vegito's 1, and then you draw a card from your deck. It's not amazing. I don't like that it has 7,000 HP. That's too easy to clear. Like the new Neo Tri-Beam TN is 7,000 power and can kill this as a 2-drop. So not amazing. The effect is nice, but that's a lot to consume. And I don't know what deck is going to be able to afford this, because the deck that typically had a lot of random symbols were Saiyan decks, which I don't think a Saiyan deck would necessarily want to go this route when they have access to Vegito anyway. And Ginyu decks, which now have an entire SP deck dedicated to them. So, yeah. Kid Buu, Majin Roar, for 3 purples, instant appearance. If you have an energy limit of 7 or higher, it can appear for free. And then for yellow consumed, KO all characters on your opponent's side of the field with a cost less than or equal to the energy in your bank. Honestly, an amazing control card. This is one of the things that the Buu deck really wanted. And it's easy to get this out for free, super easily. Like, you could get this out on like turn 6. So even if you don't have the yellow symbol, which you should, because your 3-cost Buu is also a yellow symbol, it's still going to be pretty easy to just have this on the board. So honestly, this is going to be a great card for stalling and for pushing with Majin Buu. They're going to have to put a response on the board to get rid of it, and when they try and get rid of it, then they're wasting their turn doing that, and then you've built up enough energy, and then you just use the big direct damage Buu to kill them. Although that one requires more yellow symbols, so it may not pan out the best. You may want to play it a little bit earlier before you have a yellow symbol to consume, so that you don't actually use the on-appearance effect. There are ways to make it work, but honestly, it's just a nice big threat that you can put on the board. Kind of like, this is essentially just Father-Son Gohan for Buu decks, and I'm going to be running the crap out of this in my Android deck too. Like, don't think that this is limited to Buu, because androids have a crap ton of extra purples, and there are gold symbols now that we're going to be running, like Semi-Perfect Cell, that we don't need the gold symbols at all for. And this card can just come out for free and blow up the board. Like, this is everything androids wanted. This is the best card for androids in the set, other than Semi-Perfect Cell. Next up, we have Vanilla Goku. So there hasn't been too many big Goku SPs. And I think they were scared of printing big Gokus in general because of Gug and because of the big Goku SP summoning card. But this is a vanilla, and it's blue. I don't think it's particularly relevant, so it is what it is. I don't like them printing big vanilla super rares, I'll put it that way. Finally, we have Vegito Super Saiyan Potara Fusion. Now, I promised that I would tell you why I don't think this card is very good. When you look at it from face value, you're like, oh crap, consumed, gives itself guard, swift attack, natural recovery, rush, overpower, as long as Goku and Vegeta are both in your graveyard, and it gives your leader negate damage while this card's on your field. That sounds great, except for the fact that it kills itself at the start of your turn. And then it causes your Goku and Vegeta cards to come back to your side of the field, and their on-appearance effects aren't triggered. So there aren't that many strong normal Gokus, which is something that Gug players are all too familiar with. But there are some decent Vegeta cards, but even then the Vegeta cards are typically... You have to play the 5-cost one that I pulled 3 of in order to bring this out, and that's typically going to be the one that you get back, although it's got decent stats. But overall, what this does, it just tells your opponent no for a turn. And it clears their board. That's really all it does. It does have Rush and Swift Attack, which means it can just steamroll everything on your opponent's field. It does not have Piercing Strike, so it can't even get past a 17-18 combo. So really it's just a one-turn thing. And since the Goku and Vegeta cards randomly appear at the beginning of your turn, they're also going to have Summoning Sickness, so they're not going to be able to attack either. So it doesn't give you like any real cheese potential. It's just there. But it can, like I said, blow up the opponent's board. And then since it has negate damage and overpower, it should be relatively immune to card effects, assuming overpower does, again, what we think it does. So anyway, that was the set. And honestly, I am pretty happy with what we got. I feel like after looking at the cards, and as I was doing my review, I actually got a little bit more excited for the cards because I saw more combo potential. Like, I was already planning on playing Buu, and I think Buu is going to be great. But like, I saw even more combo potential with androids with the Buu cards than I had originally anticipated, and combining some Buus with my androids is actually going to make me quite happy, and I think that that's going to be cool. I also wanted to cover some of the new stuff that they had in the store, just in case you haven't had a chance to see it. So, Bulma Frieza Saga was the last card sleeve that we got. And now we have Gohan Teen, Gohan Adult, Trunks Kid, Goten, Majin Buu, Kid Buu. I'm going to get the Majin Buu sleeves. Boop. We have Videl, which I'm going to be repping on my PS version. Those are going to be the sleeves that I have. And then they have Android 18, and there's just bubbles everywhere in the background. And then for mats, we got some new animated mats. I haven't had a chance to see all of them. But, let's see. So, starting from Gohan Teen. So, Gohan Teen, this would have been the mat that a lot of people would have wanted to play last time. Gohan Adult. So, these are good ads. We have both Goten and Trunks. So, these are going to be like the mats that people are going to want to play for their Saiyan and Gotenks decks. Majin Buu, I'm a fan. Kid Buu, whatever. So, Videl, probably going to try and rep this on PS as well. Android 18. But then we also have Goku Spirit Bomb. This one's going to look cool. Super Vegito. I already bought the Super Vegito mat. And he's just like, he does the finger thing every so often, and otherwise he's just like looking at you, taunting you. So, this would have been amazing to have during Vegito meta. RIP. Chi-Chi's cooking. It's just everyone eating, I think. And then Goku and Vegeta famous scenes. You can see which ones they are. Just looking at it. So, like, this is where he kills himself on Majin Buu. This is the Big Bang attack. Not sure which one this is, and this looks like him exasperated that he has to put on the Potara. This is Goku sacrificing himself on Semi-Perfect Cell when he's about to blow up. This is the thumbs up one, another instant transmission, and can't quite tell what this one is, but it looks like he's Super Saiyan. And then they also added in like limited time stuff. So all in all, I'm a big fan of those. I'm going to be picking up some more of those play mats. And I like that they're adding more characters. It really seems weird that they don't have like Vegito sleeves yet, since Vegito's extremely popular, but hopefully that'll get fixed at some point in the future. Anyway, this video is starting to go on a little bit too long, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stop it here. I'm going to be doing some playtesting. I'm going to try and figure out exactly everything that Overpower does. I'm going to try and figure out some good deck lists, and I'm going to try and make Majins work, as well as beef up my Android deck. So those are going to be my big plans. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you liked it. Have a good one.